Hello, everyone. Hi, thank you for joining me this morning. My name is Danit Peleg, and you may have noticed the unexpected exhibition that is placed right behind you. I'm showcasing my new 3D printed fashion collection that was funded by the amazing Nouns DAO. So today I will tell you about Nouns DAO, 3D printed fashion, and why I think it's cool, and how I got over $100,000 to make this collection from an idea to reality. But first, let's get a bit of a vibe check on nouns. So we just saw a ton of the project that they fund, but there's so many more. Nouns is only 1.5 years old and has funded over 500 projects by now. And all of these projects that passed the proposal phase has one common value. They are all contributes to spreading the word of nouns. And by contributing on building the brand, but this brand is not like all the other traditional brands that we all know. Nouns is a CC0 brand that operating in a completely new way. It's completely open source and rights free. That means that anyone that is interested in the art can use it for free without asking for any permission from anyone. If you own the NFT, you get to influence on how the DAO spends the money. And Nouns has a big treasury. It has 28,000 ETH in its treasury, which is around $45 million. So what are they doing with all the treasury? Well, amazing things, like the Rose Parade float or the Super Bowl commercial with Bud Light, but also spend on things like donation 3,000 children's eyeglasses to kids who need or can afford them, and many other public's good. So I love Nouns from day 26, and I love the art, and I love the community that was very welcoming. So I wanted to find a way to contribute. But my first idea were a bit lame, as you can see here. So the community really helped me realize on definition of nounish. This guy, for example, Seneca, is a nounder and one of the founders of Nouns. He told me on Discord that building on nouns with your specific expertise, so it's an authentic and native as possible. Nouns inspired 3D printed fashion collection is something literally only you can pull off. And more importantly, this aligned perfectly with your true passion as an artist. So that really got me thinking, and now I realize what nounish means to me. So something that is authentic and I can do as an expert, and that is using nouns as an inspiration. So when I say authentic and what is my expertise, what do I mean? I mean 3D printed fashion. My journey with 3D printed fashion started when I was at fashion school back in 2015. I decided that instead of sewing my final fashion collection like my friends did, I would use 3D printers. And to complete printing the entire fashion collection, I just brought 6 printers to my home, and I was just literally printing 24/7 for 2 weeks in a row. My inspiration for the collection was the painting by Delacroix, Liberty Leading the People, and this is also the name of the collection. I modified the printing so it will look like a 3D picture. And these are the colors and the structures of the final collection. So after 9 months of research and developed, I end up printing the world's first fashion collection, printed entirely at home. And many find interest in the concept of printing clothes. And the story went viral with millions of views and tons of press stories globally. I spoke at TED in New York, and that led me to this dress. So this is a 3D printed dress that I made for the Olympics in Rio. The process of making this dress showed me once again the potential power of using 3D printing. Working on this dress was very challenging because I didn't get a chance to meet the dancer before the rehearsal in Brazil. But thanks to 3D printing and a really simple app, I was able to customize the dress so it fit her like a glove without ever meeting her in person. And the whole process created zero waste. So after 7 months of work, the dress was on stage in a beautiful dance with a robot partner. It really felt amazing that hundreds of millions of people saw a 3D printed dress in action for the first time. And then I extended it to a full fashion collection. And so back in 2021, I experimented with minting some of my 3D printable garments. And when collectors buy my pieces, they unlock a folder with the digital garment simulation to wear in the metaverse, the 3D printable STL file ready to be printed, and details instruction like an IKEA guide on how to assemble this garment on their own. And some people actually did that, which was really cool to see. And I believe 3D printed fashion really can be a solution for closing the gap between digital to physical. The garments can be 3D printed and worn both in real life and in the metaverse. If 3D printed fashion becomes commonplace, the way we consume our fashion will also change quite a bit. So shopping for fashion will be similar to how we shop for art or music today. We will be able to pick NFT we like from fashion brands or from our local favorite fashion designer. We will buy a file, customize it, personalize it like by writing our name in the back. And it can be made to any size and in any color of choice. All right, so let's get back to my Nounish collection. For me, it's very interesting to imagine how designers will work and get funding for their creations in the future. I got to present the digital version of this collection that you can check out after, right in the back, at the first Metaverse Fashion Week. It was a year ago on the Central End. And so that's encouraged me to really kick off the collection with Nouns. I started a collection last year with three milestones. I started with a really small proposal just to create a concept and some sketches. Then the next milestone was for pattern making, rendering, and modeling and print testing, just the small fabrics. And it was also included participating in the first metaverse. Here. The first Fashion Week metaverse with the digital version of the collection. The last milestone was earlier this year, was to print an entire fashion collection and to bring it to here, NFT Paris. So the design process for this collection was to look at the nouns that I love, and I am inspired by the most. And then I ignore the fact that I'm going to use the constraint I set for myself, which is 3D print everything, and imagine what I wanted it to look like. So I then sketched the look like a traditional collection. Then I rendered and simulated the collection, which is a key benefit to 3D printing because the results look identical to the simulation. Then I work on how I can turn this collection to be physical. I looked for the right technology for each garment, and I experimented a lot to find the right fit. And here's the result. The entire collection is 3D printed from head to toe, so no traditional textiles were used. In my previous collection, I use FDM printers, like desktop printer that can be used at home. This one is one of my developments. It's a large printer that allowing me to print in 4 heads at the same time, and it's like 0.5 meter by 0.5 meter, so really helping me to save time and print a large piece of fabrics, and I use this in my collection. And with FDM, I can use all kind of flexible filaments. So this time, with this collection, I really wanted to push the boundaries of what is possible to achieve with 3D printed fashion, and I wanted to experiment with all the other possible technologies that are available for printing textiles, like FDM, like PolyJet, multi-jet fusion that I used in collaboration with HP, and this is the dress we made together. So each technology really allowed different kind of benefits. Polyjet, allowing printing in multiple colors and multiple materials in one print. Multi-jet fusion, allowing for a velvet-like look. And FDM really lets me use my own materials and experiment with creating different flexible structures. For some of the garments in the collection, like the entire CC0 look, I made a special edition of my materials that I've been working on developing for the past 2 years with my partner at Moon Creative Lab. It's an innovation lab based in Palo Alto in Tokyo. And together we created a special filament that contains specific formula that makes the fabric softer and more wearable after 3D printing. So thanks to the special structure, we actually are able to use old waste. And here is a video from our lab showcasing an example of a circular approach from old waste to a new 3D printed fabric. So the past 6 weeks have been a crazy ride as I was on a sprint printing an entire fashion collection. Never try it at home, printing a fashion collection in 6 weeks. And so I had to use different labs. I literally operated 5 labs at the same time, so in different countries as well. So from Croatia, France, US, and Israel. And regarding funding, I think the most important thing when you work with a DAO, like Nouns, for example, it's to build trust. So I realized that creating milestones and showcasing that I can deliver was a key element. So I started small, delivered value, and grew the support from the community. And then I got higher funding as trust was established. And so I invite you all to explore the amazing world of Nouns and the many creative projects that's made thanks to them. And thank you so much for being here. Come check out the exhibition in the back. And put your knuckles so I can take a photo after. Do you have any questions, by the way? Yes.
So how much can you improve how the garments feel, do you think, over like the next 5-10 years? Because I imagine it's going to be in every home eventually.
Exactly. So I realized that during the research that we're doing on materials, we can improve the hand like dramatically. This is not made from the materials we produce in our lab, because there is still a lot of like constraint around like IP issues and stuff. But when it will be available and materials will evolve, I think 3D printed fashion will be something bigger than what it is today. So it's really at the experimental phase, I would say right now, like prototyping, but there is a lot of potential in this technology. Hopefully we will get there. All right, any other questions? Thank you for your question, yeah. Hi.
Hi. Can you repeat the brands of the 3D printers you use at home?
Right. So I'm using, it's called FDM. This is like the name for the desktop machine itself. And you can find it in like different sizes, like more professional, less professional. Yeah. In my studio, I have 2 printers, and the large one are in a lab. But you can definitely fit them in like a studio or in like an office or at your home, if you like.
Yeah, thank you. How was the process of making your own filaments and materials? Like how you have to convert it in a thread or something? You have to convert like in a roll of thread? How is that?
Yeah. So filaments are coming in like a spool. It's like a thread of materials that we produce them in like, we have a real filament line in our lab. And we contain a very special like recipe And the way we produce the materials is also special, and that's the whole combination is making the hand much softer than what I'm wearing right now. This is like more traditional 3D printed filament that is available in the market, which is also soft. And using this flexible structure with the soft material, like the flexible materials really allowing a nice movement and softness to it. I think we ran out of time, but I'll speak with you after. Thank you so much. Thank you.